Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Welcome to Muslim Network TV, Canada Today Youth Edition. This is your host, Muhammad Maxwell Hassan. Yes, until now, people are still asking if my middle name is Maxwell. It is. And with today's episode, we got a good one for you. How many times have you thought to yourself, what should I do with my life? Have you ever heard of people where they say, just follow your passion, but you're still unsure about what that really means? What does it mean to follow your dream, follow your passion? It may be this esoteric thing, it may be this pie in the sky sort of thing, and it may be confusing even. But you know what? With us here today, we got two very, very special guests to shed some light on this topic and to really make sense of all this. How do you find your gifts and really cultivate that dream job and actually going out there and doing it? So with us here today, mashallah, we got Hassan Wadi. Just the name itself speaks volumes. Hassan Wadi, MC Wadi. He is a speaker and he's emceed events with up to 60,000 people in attendance. You heard it right, folks. Up to 60,000. Mashallah, he's the founder of, guess what? Speaker Academy, and he is a speech competition award-winning speaker. Man, winning is the name of the game. He is the official spokesperson of Human Concern International, Canada's first and oldest Muslim charity. He is the former president of the city of Mississauga. If you're from Mississauga, give a whoop whoop. Employees Toastmaster Club, and Division Speech Contest champion from 2017 to 2019. Also, he achieved second place in Canada's largest inspirational speaking competition, which is called Speaker Slam, with his speech, Just Say Yes. MashaAllah. Yes. I'm sure people are rooting for you, Hassan Wadi. It is amazing having you here on the show. And I am certain with 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, people are going to love to hear what you have to say with regards to finding those talents for the youth. MashaAllah, it's wonderful having you here today. And in addition, MashaAllah, we have someone as well who is going to shed a lot of light and insight into this topic. We got Reem Assadi. She is a humanitarian activist since her teenage years, with over 6 years of experience in the nonprofit domain. She leads a youth advisor position with the YMCA. I'm sure you've heard the song, you know what I mean? Like YMCA of Greater Toronto Area, helping newcomer youth mitigate their barriers and gain the acquired leadership and development skills needed for a better future. Plus, she is a certified yoga and mindfulness instructor and a motivational speaker, taking part in Toastmasters International Public Speaking Club. You can see the common thread here with Toastmasters. Reem empowers female adult youth through creating a safe space for females to be themselves and to practice yoga and mindfulness through online programs. MashaAllah, thank you so much, Reem, for being with us here today. It is gonna be fun, MashaAllah. So now, as always, for our viewers, one of the things that we would like to do to always get that connection is to tell stories. So let's go with ladies first. Sister Reem, if you don't mind, Hassan Wadi, mashallah. So Sister Reem, could you tell us just a little bit about yourself in terms of how you got to yoga and mindfulness? Out of all the different things that you can go through in life, how did that come to be? Just so people can get an idea of where your background is.
Well, it's pretty amazing how life turns to be. It's actually very, very, very random how I started off as a yoga instructor, and it's really, really dear to my heart, because how it started is that I started off as a student in interior design. Interior decorating. I studied here in Humber College. I did my bachelor's back home in interior design, and I thought that it's my thing. I loved it, I enjoyed it, and I found myself there in the interior design. However, I was a human person. I was doing volunteer all the time ever since I was a tiny teenager. I was in my community, helping here and there in my mosque, in my community, supporting my community. And this is how I started building a community without even noticing. And this is something that could never ever stop me from reaching out to give all the people around me. And this is how I actually started with the not-to-profit work. And when I started with the not-to-profit work, so many people that I've already gave a lot of myself to, just for the sake of helping, reached out to me because they wanted this kind of character with them in their organizations and in their programs. Although, like, I had a completely different bachelor's. And this is how I felt like my boiling passion went to things that are related to connecting with human beings, connecting, empowering others, being face to face with others. I found myself really there. So this is how I shifted into the not-for-profit work. And ever since, I really cannot emphasize how important it is for me to continue on in this work, because for me it's not just a job. For me it's a passion for life. It's a meaningful reason to be here as a person. And as for the yoga part, I was also, as a teenager, I was very active and I enrolled in gyms all the time. And I decided that I needed to do a weightlifting certificate. And I was super passionate about body pump and lifting weights, and I'm all about it. And, like, I want to be that kind of instructor. And I really, really didn't like to sit in silence and meditate. That was something I would never do or consider. However, I went in a very rough phase of my life. And I was married to a person. And after this marriage, I felt like I ended my marriage. I ended the work that I do in interior design. And I was already in the not-for-profit work, but I felt like everything is literally upside down. What do I do then? And this is when I had no appetite whatsoever. The super enthusiastic volunteer that I was telling you about was not there. I was not even able to get out of my bed. And this is when my sister came to me, sat beside me in my bed, and said, Reem, I registered you with me to a yoga certificate, teacher training. And I said, yoga certificate teacher training? No, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do weightlifting. And she said, well, guess what? You're already registered and you are in it. And after that, I went into the yoga certificate training, and it was 1 month. I already quit my job. I had nothing else to focus on but this training. And in that training, I found a super deep healing journey from myself to myself.
Wow, from myself to, oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Well, Mashallah, thank you so much for sharing that story. I mean, I think maybe what it encapsulates is that just when you think your life is falling apart, in reality, it's actually falling into place. SubhanAllah, mashallah, thank you so much. But we're gonna dive a bit more into kind of the ins and outs of that, and let's take it over to MC Wadi in the house. Mashallah, talk to us, man. How is MC Wadi, like, where you are today? What's the story, man? Like, let us know. You got it all. Talk to us. How did public speaking enter your life and become such a huge part of your identity today?
All right. Well, thank you, bro. I appreciate it. First of all, man, I was looking forward to seeing your suit today, and I'm so happy. But I was looking forward to something like purple or pink or red. Brown is not too bad, but next time I want to see something vibrant. Okay, Maxwell. So
just for you, Habibi. Okay. All right. I'll get you something.
Yeah, brother. He's known for his suits, Reem. By the way, it's an inside joke. He's got all the colors of the rainbow. And it's usually shining and popping. Today he was very, I guess, moderate today. He's humble. But my story is actually, it started off. Well, I have multiple stories. How I got into fitness, how I got into speaking, and how I got into humanitarian work. But I'm going to talk about let's see. Let me choose one. How I got into public speaking. We'll talk about that. And actually, they all happened in the same way. Through taking an opportunity, and that's where my speech "Just Say Yes" came from. Just say yes, and then learn how to do it later. And this is what I try to teach the kids in my academy, Youth Speaker Academy, is to go out there and take the opportunity. And who knows, you may discover something new. For me, public speaking started at the age of 27. I was a fitness supervisor in the city of Mississauga. I managed 2 fitness centers, and there was an opportunity that came up to speak on stage, to cover for an MC, actually. At the time, I had no experience. I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't want to let my boss down. So I said yes. Again, what I just say yes. I said yes. I took it on. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I mean, Celebration Square is a big stage. So anybody that lives in Mississauga, that's our downtown. That's our hood, And it was a lot of people. I was nervous. I was there on stage. I stumbled over my words. I forgot my lines. It was a total mess. And I'll always remember that day, because I remember after that day was done, the thoughts and all those negative feelings that came to mind, I said, I never want to experience that ever again. So I went and I took public speaking training at Toastmasters, and I ended up, the first year wasn't easy. So again, first lesson, guys, is when you take an opportunity, it's not always going to be easy. Also, it might start with a failure, right? So I started with a failure right on stage. Usually when you do something and you suck at it, you're like, I'm never doing that again. Well, you never know. That could be your thing. That could be your talent, right? So think about that. After I sucked at that, I went and I said, you know what, let me try again. And that's why I took training. Through that training, it took a while. Like I said, the first 8 months, I didn't do any speaking. I did my speech like 8 months in. But after that, I was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. So I started joining contests. I started winning competitions. And then and through that, I realized, okay, there's something here. And that's where my public speaking began. And when I realized how important public speaking was and how much you could do, especially in my field with the city, it really benefited me as a supervisor, to move forward. So I realized, wow, this is a really important skill, and I need to teach this to the youth. So that's where Youth Speaker Academy came in. It's an academy where we teach youth the art of communication, public speaking, leadership, so that when they grow up, whatever field they're in, they're ready for that. And now, I travel the world. I'm the spokesperson with Human Concern International. I do all their videos. I use my voice. I say, as Roger Caesar says, one of my good friends, using my voice for the voiceless, making a difference with the talent that I have, which is public speaking. But for you, it may not be public speaking. It may be sports. It may be engineering. It may be doctor. So what I want you to take from that is, what is your talent and how will you discover it? I mean, we'll go into that, but that's how I kind of came across public speaking.
Man, that's amazing. Like, I gotta say, so you powered through it. So the first time you didn't just, oh my gosh, like you weren't discouraged. You kept pushing through it, pushed through that wall, and say, you know what, I'm gonna plow through it. Mashallah, on the other side is you found exactly what you were looking for and more. So that's amazing to hear.
Most people, Maxwell, once they fail once, they stop right there. But, if you try again, you never know. You might actually come across that could be your thing, but it's not always perfect on the first time. You get me?
I hear you. So actually, let's continue that, if I may. So let's move on to another question. Let's say let's stick with you, Hassan. So people, Muslim youth, particularly teenagers, let's say college, university graduates, trying to find themselves, and it's a real murky world. They have uncharted waters. They don't have any idea what to do. What are some observations that you've noticed in particular when it comes to this particular topic about finding your passion? What are some general trends that you've seen and maybe experienced and known either through firsthand, secondhand? What are some observations about that you can?
I think whenever I discovered something great, it's always been with me trying something different. So if you want to discover something new, you have to try something different, and that's what it is. Someone doing the same thing for the rest of their life, they could be the next Michael Jordan. They could be the next, whatever it is, athlete, superstar, TV star, the next Maxwell. You never know, but they would never know unless they try something different. And it's a sad thing that some people live their whole life, pass away, and end up in their grave without uncovering their true talents. And in the way you're going to discover that, like I said, is going out there and doing something different. So I have students, you know, I tell them, raise your hand if your parents force you to be here. And they all they put their hand up, you know. They don't want to do anything different. They want to just get their school done and play some video games. But the fact is, if you want to grow, if you want to discover who you are, if you want to figure out your strengths, your weaknesses, and all these things, you have to go out there and try as much as you can in as many fields as you can, because it's only that way that you will discover what you're truly destined to do in this life.
So interesting. So as from what I gathered, it's like a lot of people are scared to go outside their comfort zone, unwilling to try new things. But that's so everything you ever wanted is on the opposite side of that. So if you want to achieve fulfillment, success, you gotta experiment. If you're staying in the same place, I suppose that's kind of where it is. So Sister Reem, if I can ask you, what are some observations that you noticed about this topic? Have you dealt with youth, and anything that really, is there any patterns that you picked up on that you'd like to share?
So I'd love to say, speaking of the fact that I've been born and raised in Lebanon as a Palestinian woman, I've seen that a lot of people, it's more like there's something that I'd like to, a metaphor that I'd like to say always. In a very small country, usually you're a big fish when you seize opportunities. It's like you're a big fish in a small pond. So the bigger you work, the more you work on yourself, you're a big fish in a small pond, because the country is very small. Not everybody's, you can't seize as much as opportunities as you find in a big country like Canada. So I feel like Muslim youth here, especially the youth that came as a first generation from myself as a youth empowerment person, I've realized that a lot of youth here understand the struggle that comes along with coming here firsthand. You see the difference of lives, and you understand that certain things that we might be taking here for granted are things that are really big opportunities that we should never ever take for granted. So from that, I would advise everyone to really take the time, first of all, to find the gratitude in themselves to everything that is around them, and to be able to feed their curiosity. So I would 100% agree with Hassan on the thought that it's not about if you try something and you fail. It's about how much do you want out of this life? How much are you willing to boil in passion to continue on and do it over and over with consistency? Because it's sometimes we are passionate about something. Sometimes I know how to speak, it's there, but if I don't practice once and twice and 3 times and 100 times and million times, I won't get better. And the more you practice, the more you're gonna perfect what you do, no matter what you do it. And if there is practice and consistency, and at the same time passion, then you're definitely on the right track, because this leads to a meaningful life. And once you have a meaningful life, you feel a reason to give more and more, and it's not out of anything materialistic.
Very interesting. A big fish in a small pond. And so for those who are, let's say, that if let's say, because this is Canada today, you know, for Canadians, if Canada isn't the place that you were born and raised, then people who immigrate here have, let's say, a different lens in terms of the, you know, when they say the land of opportunity, golden opportunity, you make something of yourself. They really see that. But for some, it's maybe it hasn't registered or clicked yet. So that fire in their belly, it hasn't really been manifested. So very interesting point, mashallah. We'll continue with you, Sister Reem, if I can ask. With this particular topic about finding your gifts and those talents and cultivating them, would you say there are some pitfalls or some traps that you would caution viewers to avoid, to say, yeah, never make this mistake, don't do this, like this is something completely stay away from, because either A, I've been there and done that, or B, you've seen it happen? Is there anything in particular with regards to finding your passion that you would say stay away from, don't do this?
Mm-hmm. I was reading a book called Self as a Leader, Self as a Coach, and I really recommend it to anyone willing to be a coach or like who loves being a leader. I think it has a great insight. But one thing that really pops into mind when you mentioned traps is that I saw this graph and it says that there's like vertical and horizontal development. What's the difference between both? Sometimes we go into workshops and different kind of developmental trainings, for example, public speaking, whatever, yoga certification, anything that we gain, and it's really on the horizontal level. When you add to this certification the inner work to work on yourself and the things that are triggering you in your subconscious mind, and develop that, the inner thoughts that are there, alongside with everything that you're learning day to day, you develop a better character. This is when your growth really develops. So I feel like this is something that is really meaningful here for everyone listening today, is that don't limit yourself to only learning new things, but also work on what is it in myself, in my inner mind, what is happening there that is stopping me from achieving my best potential? What are my limiting beliefs? This might be something like, yeah, but I'm not good enough to start. So many of us are trapped there. And that's not really true. Once you start, you build on it. And the limiting beliefs this is just one tiny example of millions of limiting beliefs on different aspects in life. So doing the inner work alongside working on progressions with certifications or whatever that you can do to achieve the thing that you are most talented with or enlightened with, or something that you're curious about, not necessarily something that you want to do for life, makes the best out of it. This is my insight about it.
Interesting. MashaAllah. So you gotta practice what you preach. Like it's like a muscle, right? I suppose if you don't practice, it's gonna wither away and it's all gone. So interesting. So finding that passion is something that is a muscle that you gotta exercise. No pun intended. I know you're into yoga and both of you are into weightlifting and fitness, mashallah. So if you're really hungry and just trying to find that thing, it's a muscle you gotta exercise. So very excellent, mashallah, good. So that's another pitfall. So MC Wadi, talk to us, man. What are some things that you would caution people to avoid? Make sure you stay away from. Maybe you have a story of a cautionary tale of the person who just never decided to find their passion, or is there something out there? What are some things that you would highlight and say, folks, don't do this, please, because it's not good for you. It's something that is going to ruin your life. What would that be, MC Wadi?
Summarize it in a quote, man. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to start to be great. And a lot of people don't start because they wait to be perfect before they start. And the fact of the matter is, everything that I have today, everything that I got today, believe it or not, guys, started at a time where I was not even close to perfect. The whole academy, as you see right now, the pictures, if you see the pictures, all these kids, that all started with me having nothing. I had no logo, no website, no curriculum, not even a curriculum. I had 150 students signed up for my first ever session. I had 6 classes, but yet I had no book and no curriculum ready yet. And the parents paid their money. They believed in me. I wasn't perfect. I wasn't 100% ready. I think the big mistake, Maxwell, people do is they think it's not time. Let me just wait until I be more prepared. Let me just wait until I get more ready. But the fact is that day will never come. You're going to keep telling yourself, it's not time. It's not time. It's not time. And then what will happen? You'll never accomplish your goals, and you'll never do the things that you want to do. And that's a scary thing. So my recommendation to everybody that is watching right now is stop worrying about being perfect. It's start and get perfect on the way. If you don't think you don't have the business skills, just get started and your business skills will come along the way. If you want to take a next step in even for Muslims, putting on the hijab, I'm not ready for it yet. Put it on and get ready along the way. If you're a man, I'm not ready to put the beard yet. Put it on and get ready on the way. Because what happens is when you take that step forward, that's when the training comes. It doesn't come before that. How can I get training to be to run my academy and get everything going if I haven't even started yet? So again, I go back to my quote. You know, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to start to be great. And I think that is the one thing that I'd caution people to stay away from, Maxwell.
Interest. So it's the only, yeah, I mean, what do they say? The only time is now, right? So if you want to delay, wait for things, but maybe there's a caveat to this conversation. Maybe we want to unpack that a little bit more. Is there such thing as a right time? Like for now, I mean, if you look throughout history, sometimes the greatest opportunities happen during a crisis. You know, Walt Disney started during the Great Depression. Now with this whole coronavirus situation, things are, you know, piling up, but then maybe some things went down. Maybe, have you ever seen companies where they started too soon or they go too fast and they're like, you know what, now it's just the market isn't, and then they just collapse. Is there such thing? Is there room for this conversation to say, to have the right time as opposed to going in? Is there something like that maybe you could offer? Because maybe someone would say, listening to you and say, mashallah, I'm ready to now open up my business. Let's go, down payment, who cares? And like, you know, I'm going to find my way and let's just go, bismillah, because now the time is there a caveat to this conversation? Is there something that you would say, hey, look, you know, yeah, it's true that you want to, you know, don't want to delay things, but is there a certain point? Where's the line that you draw to say, let's actually start this? Like, is there something that you can add to that?
I think there's a difference in saying I'm not perfect yet, so I'm not going to start, compared to it's not the right time. Because everything that I've done as well has been in a time where I felt like it was the right time. For example, when I started my speaking career, for the first 3 years, I never charged. Everything was free. You know, even the academy was free. My first 20 students, it was free. There came a time 3 years in where I said, okay, I'm going to start charging now. I think that right time, that gut feeling is also very important. What I'm cautioning people from doing is that thought that in their heads that keeps saying, you're not ready yet, you're not prepared enough, you're not perfect enough, so don't do it just yet. And I think a lot of us have that thought coming to mind with a lot of things that we want to do. And it stops us from accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish. And it's a very, very, very dangerous thing. And everything that the best things that I got were in times where I took the biggest risk. And like you said, you know, times of crisis, Walt Disney, you know, when Corona hit, I had to cancel 110 students. 110 students had to get canceled because it was in person. I was contemplating, should I do online? Should I not do online? And I did online. I did for the 110 students. I did online for them. It was a total disaster. I actually stopped it. And I said, okay, guys, forget it. We'll wait until COVID is done and we'll start again. We'll continue in person. But then I said, you know what? I'm not ready to quit. I'm going to try this again with new students, smaller classes. And I started again. I tried again with 10 students. And now since COVID, we've had more than 350 students graduate. We've partnered with YMCA now. So we coach their students in public speaking. And now instead of people just in Mississauga, I'm able to train students all over the world. But again, it's in crisis, in times of crisis, where you find the opportunity. So find the opportunity in the crisis. Don't wait to be perfect to get started. And yes, look for that right moment where you get that gut feeling and you feel like it's now, where you actually go ahead and take that first step.
All right. That's the clarifying moment. There's the aha moment there. It's like, you know what? It's one thing to say, look, I'm not perfect right now, but I will be. I will get there. I'm gonna get to that level, you know. But you know, versus being paralyzed with the notion that, you know what, I'm inadequate. There's no way I could be on a stage. There's no way I could do these things. That self-limiting belief. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, I presume. That's kind of where you're going with this. If you don't believe that you can actually achieve, then guess what? Are you gonna put enough effort? No, you're not. Then if you don't put enough effort, are you going to get the right results? Probably not. And it's just this vicious cyclical. But if in the beginning, if I understand it correctly, if you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to do this. I can do this. And I believe in myself enough. I don't have the answers now, but I will get there. and bismillah, let's do it. Like, let's go and make it happen. And mashallah, from 110 to 350. My God, Hassan Wadi, mashallah, you just
brother, I just need the purple suit, man. Hook a brother up.
All right, the purple suit
and the purple Barney flavored suit, so I can put it on, man, and rock it in this TV show, and then we can be full out, my brother.
All right. Well, I'm gonna definitely keep that in my notebook. But my God, mashallah. But Sister Reem, I want to hear you chime in on this. Like, is there where is this sense of inadequacy come from? Especially within, like, I want to really target the Muslim youth. Why is it that a lot of Muslim youth are consumers rather than producers? They don't want to, what's it called? They don't want to be like, mashallah, Hassan Wadi, for example, he's going out there, he's like, I'm going to provide a service. I'm going to do this. You, Sister Reem, you're going to say, I'm going to provide a service. Why is it, in your opinion, where's this, why, like, what's going on here? Why is it that they have this self-limiting belief that they can't actually accomplish great things? Why?
Mm-hmm. So for me specifically, I believe that I can never stereotype that everybody is like that. But I feel like the more you understand that things are never taken for granted, and the more you understand that there is a potential for me to feed my curiosity, to put myself out there, just do the first step. There's a quote that says that you are responsible as a person to just do the first step. Everything else just unfolds with time. And I feel like that's super accurate. From a personal experience, when I first started, I started off doing yoga, as Hassan said, also for free, for some ladies, to make sure that my target is to help them feel better about their bodies, about their minds, and to find this connection between their mind and their body and their hearts. So it's the mind, body, and soul connection for me, and how they feel about themselves, how much they evolve. So I feel like if you didn't do the first step and try, you will never get yourself to evolve. And I do believe that it's about the limiting beliefs really come when you are not in a process of becoming. And when you're not in a process of becoming, you're limiting yourself to the box that you are drawing from the limiting beliefs that you have. Once you start feeding your curiosity, doing these minor, tiny steps that you are responsible for in the day-to-day basis, you will grow as a person. And as you grow as a person, you will unfold yourself, and you will unfold and shed different layers of yourself. And the more you grow as a person, the more you will see when you look back. Like if you look back to yesterday, you might find that you're kind of the same. But if I tell you, how were you in a year time, or 2 years time, or 3 years time, you're gonna find how much you've really evolved just by one step at a time.
MashaAllah. So success is a staircase, not an elevator. You kind of have to go through the little steps. You don't just go straight up. MashaAllah. There you go. What do they say? I mean, we'll throw a couple of phrases out there. Rome wasn't built in a day. The journey of a 1,000 steps. The journey of a mile begins with the first step. Oh, journey of 1,000. Like, I'm just butchering this now. Like, the journey of 1,000 miles begin with the first step. You just start, right? Maybe that could be, Hassan Wadi said, just say yes. We could just say, just start, just do it. I mean, free advertising for Nike right there. But anyway, but mashallah, now. Do you have anything else to say, Reem?
Speaking of Nike, just do it. It really, because there's something I've been reflecting on for the past period. And I want to hear your insight also, Hassan, on this. Sometimes I used to believe myself that I needed to fuel this motivation that I have in order to keep going. But as I grew as a person, I've realized that you don't really need to have this motivation, because it's so many times in life you will wake up and you won't feel like it. You won't feel like working out. You won't feel like doing the job today. You won't feel like feeding any passion at that day. But is that a reason for you to really stop? So I feel like, speaking of the just do it, yes, at some days you will need to push yourself to just do it. And as you do, you will continue on growing as a person. Sometimes it's, if we will only meet our goals or ourselves at the days when we're super motivated, at so many times we're not gonna show up to ourselves. And if you didn't show up to yourself, how will the world show up to you?
Whoa. All right. So Hassan, you want to chime in? Like
Wisdom. Oh my God. All I'll say is motivation, like she said, motivation doesn't last, guys. And the one thing that'll keep you going when motivation is gone is your why. So ask yourself, why are you doing whatever it is that you're doing? Why are you waking up every day? What motivates, what inspires you every day to work and keep going? For me, it's to provide for my family, to live the life that I want to live, to reach the excellence that I want to reach. So make sure you know your why, because there will be days where you will need that to keep going. Back to you, Maxwell.
Yeah, so to fuel that, I mean, there's the whole debate, right? Is motivation internal versus external? Are you fueled by that inner desire to make a change and difference? Is that stronger, or is your environment? I mean, this is a whole other can of worms that we could open up, but mashallah, that's a discussion for another day, I suppose. Now, as we're winding down, again, we want to make sure we had a lot of fun, I'm sure, with this talk and sharing stories and having all these things that is food for thought. Now, if I can kindly ask as a starting point, are there any resources out there? Maybe someone's looking at this show and saying, hey, you know what? They make a lot of sense, but is there a tool out there? Is there some resources maybe? For example, if you want to find math help, if you're, let's say, someone who's struggling with math, you go to a math tutor, or you go on YouTube and there's plenty of tutorials on how to solve a particular math problem. Is there anything like that exists for careers? Somebody who's saying, look, I have no idea what I want to do with my life. I'm a teenager, or I just graduated university and I still don't know what to do. It's kind of embarrassing, actually, but it is what it is. I don't want to just continue living life this way. Sister Reem, let's start with you. Are there any resources out there that you could point towards and say, you know what, this would really help you out to find that way and to guide you through those moments of unclarity?
Yeah, on that, I wanted to say that, to start with, as a yoga instructor and a mental health professional, I 100% recommend that if I can support any females out there who want to feel empowered, that I am here for anyone, any girl out there that feels like she wants to find the connection between her body and mind and work on herself. I am here to support, and they can find me on my Instagram handle at reem.al-Assadi, or on my Facebook, or I didn't do my website yet, but it's getting there. And of course, there are hundreds of resources out there, especially it depends on what do they really want in their lives. So it really depends on what they want. So from that, I would give it out to Hassan to share, like, if he has any other resources.
My best resource, to be honest with you, brother, this is what I tell my student. Listen, guys, the best resource is experience. Get off the, don't go out there looking for websites. Get off your bum. Go get a job, volunteer, and get your experience. And through the experience, only there you will discover what you truly are meant to do. Because we can, we can read all day about this career, that career, that career. You will never know until you get in there and actually do it. And something you might actually think you like, you actually hate. Something you actually think you hate, but you actually love. So get out there, and as the quote says from my speech, when someone offers you an amazing opportunity, not sure if you can do it, just say yes and learn how to do it later. So that's, yes, naturally.
True, mashallah, wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, you can't Google experience, 100%. Now, but let's just say someone's looking at it and say, Habibi, with Corona, who's gonna hire me? Where am I gonna go? Where do I volunteer? Where do I look? I mean, I want to get experience, but you know how you've probably heard this catch-22. I need to get a job to get experience, but I don't have experience to get this job.
I'll tell them.
going on? What do we do? Like, guide us here. You know what?
McDonald's is hiring. That's what I'll tell them. McDonald's hiring, guys. Listen, Corona, non-Corona, there is no excuse. You know, a few of my students, part of the curriculum in level 2 is for them to create a resume. We work on the resume, we work on the cover letters, and we get them out there to volunteer and get jobs. And a lot of them got jobs during this Corona season. One of them actually got a job at McDonald's. I used to work at McDonald's for 5 years. Most of the things I learned, a lot of experience that I had was from McDonald's, and it was probably the best part-time job and hardest job I've ever had out of all the jobs I've ever had. And I learned a lot from there. So what I would say is, like I said, I still stick by it, is experience. If you want to try an experience, the Academy is here, You Speaker Academy. And through that, we try to figure out what you're good at and what you're meant to do, what you're destined to do. Because this is my goal in life, to be honest, is get people to discover what they were created for. Everybody has a gift. Everybody has a superpower. But not everybody will live their life and discover that superpower. And it's a very sad life when you're not living your life with purpose. And like I said, the only way to discover that purpose, the only way to discover your job, the only way to discover what you're meant to do is through experience. So get out there, experience life, try as many things as you can. Don't think that you got to figure things out by 25, 30, whatever it is. There is no timeline. Most of the successful people right now have discovered or have started their business in their 40s, in their high 30s. So it's never too late. Get out there, try something different, and who knows, you may discover something new.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Look at that. So with experience comes clarity, I suppose. So you got to just go out there, mashallah, ask Sheikh Google for some help and support. So just go out there. If you have internet connection, by all means, if you're watching this show, if you're, you know what I mean, like just look, just ask and try, and there you go. It's just through that experience, that's where you get clarity and say, you know what, yep, this is something I want to do, versus no, I'm going to stay away from this. Or it could be that it's just a one thing that you want to just keep trying a little bit more, and you never know. Could end up falling in love with whatever that thing is that you initially hit. You know what they say, opposites attract in a way, right? So amazing stuff, mashallah. Now, as it's bittersweet, but all good things must come to an end. And with every show, we always want to end with some parting words of advice and gems of wisdom. So I'll take it to you, Sister Reem. Let's say there's a sister right now watching this. Mm-hmm. She's looking and she's saying, you know what, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I tried dabbling in this, but it didn't work out. I don't have a support network to help me. My family, isn't helping me. I'm lost. What would you say to her to help, point to that North Star, so to speak, and guide and, make that compass so that way everything falls into place. She discovers her gift and makes that dream career that she's always wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know what to say. The first thing that came to mind when you're asking this question is that something that I used to tell myself, and I always remind myself on times of when I'm not really certain or when I'm not at my best. I always tell myself, Reem, just give yourself the time to close your eyes and give yourself what would be the advice that you would give yourself to the previous Reem. The Reem that was 5 years ago, maybe, or like 10 years ago. And my advice for her would be just be kind on yourself and enjoy this phase of your life. Because honestly, this life is all about the phases that are there and living in the present moment. Nobody has their lives on point in a where like everything is perfect. No one. We all have sides or aspects in our life that are imperfect, that we're still trying to navigate, things that we keep on healing in ourselves. And this is the time where like we need to understand and always be kind to ourselves. So my advice to you today is just be easy on yourself. Give yourself a big hug and a round of applause for all your trials. Because if you show up to yourself, if you get out of your bed and do your research, if you go to school, find your part-time job, volunteer here and there, then you are on the right track, and that's all about it. If you develop just by watching one TEDx talk at the end of your day just to develop some skills or develop something that sparks a light in your life, then you are on the right track, and that's all about it. There's a part that is in your control, and there's a part that unfolds with a higher power, with the creator. Allow yourself to just be, allow yourself to be present, and take it easy and be kind on yourself, because this life is all about the journey, and it's not about the achievements that come along, but more about the journey and the process of this hard time that we pass through.
Look at that. Be kind to yourself. You know, Spala, time keeps moving forward. You're never going to get this time back. And so you might as well make the most of it. And mashallah, congratulate yourself, you know, and aim high, but, you know, not to beat yourself up if you don't reach those standards. Amazing. So self-care is a big one. So for the curtain call, MC Wadi, wrap it all up. If there was, let's say there's a brother, man, he's getting into it. He's like, I gotta say yes. Hassan Wadi said yes, so I'm saying yes, yes, yes. I'm ready to go. But again, he's got all his wheels turning, but it's like a treadmill. He's not getting anywhere. He's again with the fitness, you know what I mean? Like he's all about it. Like he's got this car, he's got the engine revving, but buddy, it's in the parked position. So what do you say to him? Let's say he's amped up, ready to rumble, no idea what he wants to do and isn't sure, you know, through experiences and things of that nature. What would you say as parting words of advice, gems of wisdom, Hassan Wadi? What do you say to someone who's lost, trying to find their gift and their dream career?
What I'll say is, you know, growing up from a young age, high school, university, I was never the special student. I never got the best marks. I always worked the hardest. I studied the hardest, but I still remember my friend Bokki in university. I mean, he'd be partying all night, you know. I'd be calling him. He said, brother, I'm in the club, you know, dancing it up, and I'm studying, and he's in the club. And then we do the exams. He gets the 80s, and I get the 70s. And I said, brother, but you were in the club. What happened, man? So, you know what? I was never special. I never thought I had anything special or extraordinary to offer to the world until I found my talents. So what I say to everyone now, if you're in that same position thinking, you know, what's my thing? What's my superpower? What's my gift? I say is keep looking. Everybody's got a gift. Everyone is special. Allah created you special. You are you. The only thing that makes you different is the fact that you are you. So keeping that in mind, get out there and experience. Like you said, you know, what's the book that we can read? What's the experience? Get out there and try as many things as you can until you discover what it is that is destined for you. And once you do that, go 100%, go all out, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and take care of your community. And only then will you live a happy, fulfilled life that you want to live, inshallah. Thank you so much, Maxwell. And those will be my last words for everybody that is joining us today.
MashaAllah, man. Put the you in youth, my God. Like you got to see all of that, find what it is. Jazakallah khairan, Hassan Wadi and Sister Reem. Amazing, amazing conversation. And with that, I mean, we're going to close this out. I'm sure, like, for those who are looking for their dream career or their talents, I mean, this will shed a bit of light on that. So I want to give one little last reminder or little message to the viewers directly here. For those of you tuning in on Muslim Network TV, mashallah, for those individuals, let me share with you one simple message. Let's just go one message here. Let's go, come on. Let's help me out here, folks. So now, when it comes to finding those gifts and talents, I want to share with you one last thing, and that is this, that, you know, your talents is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's gift to you. What you make of those talents is your gift back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you talents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you abilities. What you make of them is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you those gifts. What you make of those gifts is your gift back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at the end, it all comes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's up to you to find those gifts, up to you to find those talents. It's only up to you to make the most of it. And just like we talked about before, you get clarity through action. And I'll share with you one last resource for those maybe potentially, if you're still unsure, if you're still not certain about finding those different experiences, I wanted to highlight one thing, and it's called the Myers-Briggs personality test. Let me say it one more time. It's a free Myers-Briggs personality test. It's not perfect. It's not something out there that is one-to-one, but if you wanted some sort of direction, you wanted something that would get some insight about yourself, try a free Myers-Briggs personality test. It could uncover some things about yourself that you didn't know and even give you some career options that fit your personality. Again, I highlight and stress that it's not something that is one-to-one exact, but it's a starting point. It's a starting point, but it's through action comes clarity. And with that, thank you so much for tuning in. This is your brother, Muhammad Maxwell Hassan. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.